Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's NBS webinar. It's going to be a webinar I've been looking forward to because we're just going to look at sort of product improvements to NBS Chorus. So latest and upcoming features in NBS Chorus. Going to take 50-55 minutes. Everyone attending's microphones are muted, but throughout, please ask questions, make suggestions. We really look forward to seeing what came through at the end of the webinar. Myself and David will be going through that carefully. So joining me today is David Morris, who's product owner at NBS, looks after all things NBS Chorus. Hopefully lots on the webinar today will have met or talked to David before, and myself, Stephen Hamil, Innovation Director here at NBS. So we're going to spend a little bit of time at the start looking at the product development process here at NBS. We'll have a look at some of the latest and upcoming developments in NBS Chorus, but the main part of the webinar, we're going to have a look at a new sort of package development called bundles. So that advanced spec writer bundles. So please stay on for the full webinar and watch the new features in the advanced spec writer bundles, which will be the third part of the webinar. But just to briefly, David, can you just say a little bit about like your background at NBS, your current role at NBS, and how the product development process works?
Yeah, hi everybody. So I'm David Morris. My role is the product owner at Chorus, for Chorus. And what that really entails is I collect all the great ideas you have for how you'd like the platform and the technical content to be developed. And I gather a lot of the requirements for how you'd like to see that implemented. And then I coordinate the roadmap, and then I work with our technical content teams and our software development teams to see them through into the platform. That's a great picture. That was a user day, feedback day that we held in London earlier this year. Really fun day. 15 or so practices, I think, from the London area, giving us their feedback on how they use Chorus and how they'd like us to develop it.
Yeah, and you can tell you've had a good sort of user group session when people are standing up and pointing at things and sort of rolling their sleeves up and getting involved. And like a lot of the ideas that come from sessions like this and feedback through the support teams. And I guess if anyone's been using the support area within Chorus, the little button to the top right, you'll see like David authors a lot of the messages in there, either replying to customers with suggestions and talking through a little demos of the new features and things. But yeah, I guess when we were planning this webinar, David, we had a list of 5 or 6 things we wanted to show here, but then we realized we'd be going way over the 1 hour. So we picked 2 sort of upcoming features that we want to demonstrate that apply to all different versions of Chorus. You're going to do the first one, I'm going to do the second one. So over to you, David, if you can share your screen.
Thanks, Stephen. So I'm sharing my screen now. And the first thing I just wanted to mention is that we sell Chorus based on different plans. So there's Chorus and then there's Chorus Pro. And the next couple of features that we're going to show are all going to go into the Chorus plan. So the first one that I'm going to show is a new feature which allows you to search the specification you have open. So to give you a bit of an orientation, I'm on our development environment, and this is going through development now. It's quite close to being released. I've opened up one of our sample specifications, the Lakeside spec, and it happens to be based on the UK Uniclass content set. And when you go to add content, on the left-hand side, the contents panel shows you what the specification contains. And there's a filter in here which allows you to look for things that it contains. And that was felt by the customers that we engage with during the design of this functionality to be very useful. So we've left that in place. But what we've developed is a dedicated search. And what we're trying to solve here is we're trying to solve where you want to find something that you've specified, or perhaps you're in a QA capacity and you're looking for things that the specifiers entered into the specification. And up to now, you've been able to use the built-in browser search that comes with your web browser, but that's very limited. It's limited because you can't search across the entire spec. You can only search across what's on screen. So to demonstrate it, I'm going to do a couple of searches. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to search for the name of a supplier that we have specified in this Lakeside sample specification. So I'm going to enter Villeroy and press enter, or I could click the search bar. Chorus will query everything that's inside the specification, and it's returned 11 results. And there's a result for every instance that that keyword exists throughout the specification. It could be in a clause prefix, title, suffix, code, or the body of the clause as well. And if you click on an item, at the minute, I'm just showing the add content in the middle panel. If I click on an item, Chorus will take me directly to where that keyword exists in the specification. And you can see just there, it says Villeroy. And that's in the wash basin system. We're showing the clause number on the left-hand side because we are constrained by the width of that panel. But if you hover over the code, because you're maybe not familiar with it, it'll show you the full code, prefix, title, suffix. So the code SS40, 15, so on. The prefix is 19. The wash basin systems is a title. And then we've got PSAN 103 in the suffix. And if I jump down to one in a different place, let's go down a bit further. And this time, this is in a accessible WC package system. So when I click on it, it's going to take us there. Makes it really easy to spot and maybe then change. You know, perhaps you've entered something like the role or whatever, and you want to go and find it quickly. The second thing you can do is you can search by phrase. So I'm going to look for to be confirmed. So I've entered in my to be confirmed. I'm going to press enter on my keyboard or click the search button. And Chorus is away doing another search of the spec. You can tell it's taking its time with this one, and I'll explain why as it's developing the results. But it's showing us that there's 99 plus results. In fact, actually, if you look there, there's over 1,300 results. And the reason is that Chorus is trying to look for everything in that keyword. It's looking for to, be, and confirmed. And you can see by way of the snippet of the result that we show in the results list, what it's returning, be, confirmed, to. So when you're looking for a phrase like that, then we can use the match and do things like look for whole words, look for case. In this case, we want to go for the exact phrase, but you can also limit what results you see. So if you don't want to find things in completed items, or if you want to exclude the stuff that you've parked, you can do that too. So let's do that. So I've selected exact phrase, just close that menu. Now, when you change the parameters of what you want to match against, Chorus just automatically researches for you. So instead of 99 plus, we're down to 36 results. And then you can see to be confirmed is coming back in the ground bearing external stairs system. Let's have a look at that one. Takes me straight there. I don't have to find it and then browse. And just spotting that myself.
Yeah, there it is, 7.7.
Yeah. And actually, I could have helped myself out there because the row 7.7 is included in the results. So if we do that again, let's go for this item here, which is in the internal wall tiling system. It's in row 4. And if we load that in the editor and then look straight at row 4, there's to be confirmed with sampling.
And I noticed that, David, what was quite nice, if you go over the hover over again, just for the PR35, it's got the chain of sort of hierarchy there. It's the ceramic wall tile product. That's part of the internal wall system IWS 102. So a lot of good information there in the hover over.
Yeah. So that's search, and that will be released to all specifiers by way of the Chorus plan.
Very good, very good. Just a little bit of trivia. I started off as a software developer here at NBS. I wrote the search engine for NBS Scheduler back in 2001 or something like that. A bit of nostalgia, but yeah, jumping across, I'll share my screen now and show a second development that's very close to being on its way. Yeah, so the second thing just going to show here is improvements that we've made to the MBS plugin. So if you'd like to know more about this, come to platform and jump across to our new BIM area of the mbs.com. So there's this little article recently about how we've merged National BIM Library into MBS Source. That's worth a read. There's a bit here about the various plugins and the latest Autodesk Revit plugin, which you can access from here. And just check with yourself, David, but that now works with Revit 2020 all the way through to 2024.
That's correct. 2020 through to 2024 inclusive.
And the improvements that we're about to see with additional parameters, we also hope to see these also come through to our additional plugins as well, AutoCAD Vectorworks, Bentley. So it's a sort of first step here. But what I'm going to do is just to open up this model in Autodesk Revit. It's not a design that's going to win the Sterling Prize. It's me putting a few windows and doors and carpets, etc. in. But what this model's done, and I've gone completely over the top with the sort of annotation here. I don't expect anyone would ever do this on a project, have so much info in there, but it's shown all of the properties that we're now sharing between NBS Chorus and the equivalent parameters in Autodesk Revit, either in family objects, layered objects, or the material layers themselves. So let's just show how this works. If you want to see the model integration stuff from first principles, there's excellent support information online. But this model here on the left-hand side has been associated with the specification inside of MBS Chorus. So you see the 3 dots there. You've got an association between the 3D model and the specification. And then to create a link between an object and the specification clause, you sort of click on it here. And because that's already been linked, it jumps to the right clause. Let's take that out for now. So I'm going to sort of manage the associations and remove that link. So you'd start off with an object, which is in, say, Autodesk Revit here, and then I'd go and link it to the specification. And at the point where I link it to the specification, you're going to get a whole set of properties from MBS now drop into that object. And as I say, you might not want to put these in the annotation field itself. Keep that nice and short, classification code type. But you probably do want to use them in things like material takeoffs and scheduling, and in the information you then share with people like client, cost consultant, main contractor, if they've got 3D model viewers, either proprietary or sort of IFC. So that's now linked. So when I click on the storage unit here, it shows you the specification on the right-hand side, and note that this title is exactly the same as the parameter here, NBS Chorus description. You'll notice that FFE 303 is again exactly the same as well. So just to prove that, let's just change a couple of these. So let's call it 32B, and let's change. Let's keep that nice and simple, make it shorter. So at the point where I click save now, we could potentially have a problem because the schedule will be out of sync with the specification. Annotations will be out of sync on your drawings with the specification. But if I jump across here to the model, you'll see we've now got an issue, the model tab, and it's telling me that the parameters no longer match between the storage wall assembly object and the equivalent specification clause. So if you watch on the left-hand side there, when I click fix, you're going to see 303 change to 302 B, I think it was, and the description to get shorter. So update the object. And if you watch on the left-hand side there, it changes to 302B with the shortened description. So we're allowing now the information in the specification, the 7 or 8 key parameters, manufacturer name, description, chorus URL, suffix, etc., to be shared. Just to demonstrate that one more time, I'm going to change now the link between 302, which is this one, to the 301 storage unit. And as I do that, it re-associates all of the links with the different parameters. It takes a few seconds there because you might have lots of instances of that in your model. One of the nice things is if it is a manufacturer that's been specified over on the right-hand side, you get the manufacturer name, in this case, Boyko, but also you're getting the manufacturer URL, which is what's trapped inside the spec there, which directs the user to MBS source for the latest information. Is the product still available? Does it have an installation manual, third-party certification, etc.? So what I'm going to do now is demonstrate how this information can be used downstream. So you might work on design and build contracts and the main contractor wants to see it. You might work in an office where not everyone has access to Autodesk Revit and they use the online viewer, etc. So let's just jump across here. So here's the Autodesk viewer. This is just the free version. I guess it'd be similar if it was BIM 360 or what have you. I click on the storage unit and say, show me the properties. In the properties there, you're going to have those new NBS properties a bit further down. So you can see here, manufacturer product URL, clickable, chorus URL, working in a large practice where maybe the designer or the project lead wants to see the spec. You just click on here, and presuming you've got sign-in permissions for that spec, it'll jump straight to the specification. Maybe I've just got read-only permission and I can bang a little spec note in or what have you. And when I click on the manufacturer product URL there, it jumps across and takes you to that manufacturer in MBS source. And what we did, maybe there'll be some questions on this when we look afterwards. We really pondered on which parameters to use. So if we come back here, you see we've grouped them all as new parameters with the prefix NBS. And we were sort of torn between, do we try to sort of override existing parameters like manufacturer and model reference, or do we keep it nice and clean and just have a sort of NBS property set? And because a lot of people have read-only properties, or they maybe don't want the NBS Chorus plugin to override what someone, we thought we'd keep that nice and clean. This is MBS information all in a set of properties. I think there'll probably be a little bit of disagreement where some people will think, no, you should have put in a different property. But I think overall, I think that probably is the right decision, but interested in feedback in the chat. And I know we're going to get some feedback next month because we're presenting at the Revit user group in London in September. But just here's the same model now in IFC. And what's quite nice about the IFC export, we just configured it using the little config text file, is we've got it as nice, clean classification property set following the IFC schema. So you've got classification. This is Celebri model viewer, free viewer, Celebri anywhere. And you've got the classification and the classification title splitting, which is nice for when you're doing your sort of tree views and takeoffs and tools like Celebri. And we followed the way that the Kobe specification property set works in terms of naming convention for NBS underbar specification. And there's all that information. Again, click on the window, click on the carpet, click on the ceiling, click on the furniture, whichever you sort of click on there, you're getting a consistent set of information. And that big use case of anyone on the project team looking at something in the model viewer saying, what is that? And trusting the information in the 3D model with it linking now to the specification, there can be that level of trust that when you click on that URL, you can get the latest information from the source, from MBS source. So here, verified by the manufacturer in the last 5 months, here's the information and certification that that particular product has. So pretty excited about this, and it opens up the NBS workflow to not just the designer, but the wider project team using tools like Celebrian, the data format IFC. We'll probably do another webinar on just this over the next sort of 5-6 weeks, and we'll have a nicer model than my sort of little Mickey Mouse two room box here. So that finishes the second upcoming improvement. We're now going to jump across and look at bundles. So you may have heard of bundles in terms of the way the webinar was advertised and on newsletter, on social media. But let's just jump across to our web page. Just make this big again. So this is the page. We'll send this through after the webinar. Pop something in the chat if you want to know more. But we've got 2 bundles planned, and this is a bundle of advanced functionality that you can choose to subscribe to over and above existing NBS Chorus or Chorus Pro. And the one that's like imminent, that's going to come out in the next month or 2, is the advanced spec writer bundle. We're also at the sort of planning stage. I think this will extend over the next, I don't know, 5-6 months or so on an advanced masters bundle as well. If you'd like to know more about that, like, fill in the form and keep an eye on it. But this is close to release now, the advanced spec writer bundle. So the second part, the third part of the webinar, is going to be David demonstrating these next 3 features. And this is a sort of first preview of them. So over to you, David, and if you could share your screen, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. So I'm going to demonstrate the 3 features that are going to go into the advanced specification writer bundle. I'm going to show the first item, which is what we're calling detailed revisions. Now, to demonstrate this, I'm showing you our development environment. This is very close to being released. So, little bit of background. Where are we? We're in Chorus. We're in a sample project. We're looking at a uniclass-based specification with contents. And if I just draw your attention to the publish history. So when you've got Chorus Pro, this gives you access to the publish history. And whenever you go to publish your specification, you can choose to save it to your history, and Chorus will record it here. And so if you just take a look at what we've got various iterations of the spec, starting with some internally shared Geezer 102 revisions. And then we've got a full specification for the first contractual release. And then it looks like individual work packages for things like shading systems, deck systems, and so on and so forth after that. And when you go to publish your specification, you can compare what you're publishing now with an item in your history, and that's what presents the existing revisions that you see in Chorus. So if I just go to the contents panel, I'm going to publish the full spec again. So publish specification, and then I'm going to take you to the compare step. And this is where we present the history again. And if I wanted to, I could quickly filter down to show the last times I published the full specification. And if I compare what I've got now in the spec after all those work packages have been issued to the first time we published the full spec as a contractual version. Now, just doing what I've done there and selecting that option there, that will result in Chorus presenting the PDF or the Word document with what we call revision labels. So it'll indicate to you where the specification has changed, and that happens already. That's happened for some time. So it'll tell you where things have been added to the spec, where things have been revised, and where things have been deleted. We're introducing a new checkbox up here. So it's an option. You don't have to publish with it. It's optional on top of the revision labels. And if you check it, Chorus will publish the revision labels as well as what we are calling detailed revisions. And detailed revisions are about how, not just where, but how the specification has changed. So I've got some examples prepared for us. So I'm just going to minimize Chorus out of the way for the moment and show you the same specification published earlier with just the basic revision labels and with detailed revisions. So on the right-hand side, we've got the front page, no changes there. And if you go to the table of contents, the items you see here, these are those revision labels that I mentioned, where Chorus is showing you where things were added, where things were revised, and where things were deleted. Let's go a bit deeper into the specification. So I'm going to just jump into a particular page of the specification that I want us to focus on both sides. Just scroll down a little bit. I might actually zoom in a bit too, just to give you a better view of things. So on the right-hand side is the revisions that are available in Chorus now with Chorus Pro. And you can see with this thermal performance clause that it's been revised. But it doesn't tell you how it's been revised. So whoever has to read the specification and understand how it's changed, they don't have all the information they need in this single document. And that's where detailed revisions come in. On the left-hand side, you have the revision label, and you also have how the actual text of the specification has changed. These are the detailed revisions. Now, what Chorus does with detailed revisions is it publishes any text that was added with a blue styling and an underline, and any text that has been removed is styled with a red and a strike through. So we can see here, without referring to any other documents, that in terms of thermal performance, the thermal transmittance is now the weighted U value of the system. It's not needing to refer back to the M&E engineer's documentation. And the average U value has been set at a particular amount, rather than, again, referring back to documentation. So it gives the wider design team or the client or the contractors a really, really precise indication of exactly how the specification has changed. Let me show you another page in the document. Okay, so on the right-hand side, we've got the drained and back ventilated rain screen cladding, and you can tell it's revised. And it's the system outline, so it contains basically all of the information that is contained in this cladding system. And then on the left-hand side, you've got the same thing, but with the details revisions turned on. And Chorus is showing you how the spec has changed, not just in the body of the clause, but if the clause code, the prefix, the title, or the suffix had changed as well. And in this situation, pretty significant changes happened. The design responsibility indicated by the P and the D has changed from being descriptive to now being prescriptive. So the D was removed and the P was added. And then you can see all of the other changes that happened throughout that system outline. And if you follow it through, you'd be able to see how all the clauses has changed. So you'll see here that clause suffixes have changed to be more precise. There'll be loads of other changes too. I think it really gives you clarity, and I think it's the clarity that maybe will save a lot of time and avoid a lot of uncertainty and confusion. The last thing I just want to show you is that these changes can be really small, and the detailed revisions are helpful in pointing stuff out. So take a look at this durability clause. It's been revised. It only contains the duration, and it's set to 30 years. That's with the standard revisions. But you can see here that we've actually changed the duration from 10 years. It used to be 10 years, now it's 30. And then alongside the red and the blue text, there's a border in the margin on the right-hand side. That's there so that as you're scanning down the spec at speed, you can be looking on the right-hand side at this margin, and it'll help you to spot, even when it might be the placement of a decimal point that's changed. It might be difficult to spot that when you're just looking for the red and the blue, but that margin will really help to point that out. There's one last thing I wanted to share with the folks on the call, Stephen, and that's that we know that the presentation of the specification is really important. It's a representation of the organization, the practice. So the detailed revisions can be configured as well. So if I just show you this in a bit of detail, you can change how the text that was added and the text that was deleted is styled. And you can also change the presentation of the margin as well. So in this situation, I've taken the text that was added, which would normally be blue with the underline, and given it the NBS purple branded color. And the text that's been deleted, which is normally red and has the strike through, I've given it the NBS action blue. And then so the margin really pops. I've changed that to a bright orange color. So if your practice has got a particular shade of red or blue and you want it to be perfectly on brand, or you actually prefer to change the colors entirely, change the background, change the position of the margin, you can do that.
Yeah, no, really nice. And I think when we talk to customers about this and where the demands came from, I think on the more complex, larger projects that are maybe under the new Building Safety Act, in between Gateway 2 submission and Gateway 3 submission, so before construction through the build phase, there's more onus on like showing exactly what's changed for major revisions or even minor revisions. And I think that this will really help pinpoint these are the items that have changed as you move through the project. So I think, yeah, if you don't mind, can we see the second bit of functionality that forms part of the advanced spec writer bundle, please, David?
Okay, the second thing I want to show you is what we're calling variables. Now, imagine that you've got phrases or terms that are likely to change depending on perhaps the client's requirements, the form of procurement, the phase of the project. You can enter that information into the specification as plain text, but that presents you a problem because if you need to change it, then you've got to find throughout the specification where the plain text exists and then change it manually. And while we did show searching the specification as part of this webinar, it's extra work and there's got to be a smarter way. And that's where variables comes in. So I'm showing you our development environment again. Variables have actually been released in Chorus for about a year and a bit now, and they've been in a closed beta phase. And we're getting to the point where we will be doing a little bit of additional development, and then we'll be making it available platform-wide to customers who subscribe to the Advanced Specification Writer bundle. So I'm in a project, Newtown High School, and down inside the project where you can edit the project details, I've got edit variables. So basically every variable has got a name and then you can define a value. And there are a bunch of variables that come with Chorus. In this situation, most of them are project variables. So we've got things like the project title, client, code, location, description, and there will be some more when we're done. There'll be a project variable for every field in the project details. But you can also add in your own. So I've given them a bit of a naming convention. Phraseology, I've just said, it begins with PHR for phrase, just my system of doing things. So I've got things like to be agreed as TBA and to be confirmed by the client as TBC. And, you know, maybe I want to define what we mean by descriptive for the design responsibility and prescriptive. And to save me having to type that in every time, I can just use a variable. And then the neat thing about variables is either they can just be a time saver. You know, if it's a phrase you repeat on a regular basis, you can set it up here, enter it in briefly, and it'll save you a couple of seconds every time you have to enter it in. But where it really gets powerful is when the circumstances change and you need to change the value. You can change it here once, and that change will apply across every spec in this project, which I'm going to demonstrate. So let me come out of where you can manage your variables and go back into the project. And I'll begin by showing you preliminaries. So here I have a JCT standard building contract from the UK cause preliminaries. I'm going to go into the project particulars in A10. This is a great clause because it really lends itself to defining the variables once. Maybe you could even do this in your masters. And once the variables are set, they just inherit the values from the project. So you can just set it off and leave it. So let's begin. Let's add the name. So we want the project name. So I'm going to add a variable using the shortcut, and it brings up my variable menu. And I can either just scroll, or I can continue typing, and it'll auto-complete. And I'm looking for the project name, project title. There we go. It's already, that's the variable name. Let's add in the nature. So I want to show the project description here. So let's do that too.
And what key are you using again there, David, to get that up? Is it like the squiggle? What's it called again?
Yeah, so the keyboard shortcut is Shift and the tilde key, which is the squiggly one. So yeah, and so I've added in the project description. I'm going to pop the location in. Done. I'm going to leave the timescales for a moment. I'll leave that one out just for now. And you can see here that I already added in a variable. So I'm just going to save that and check the clause back in again. And when the clause is checked in, rather than the variable showing the variable name, it shows you the value. And in this situation, it's getting that information from the Newtown High School's project details. So it's pre-populating for me automatically the Newtown High School name, the description that I've entered in this case, the high school for 1,400 pupils, and then its address. And here, if I just check this clause out, I've added in the variable for the project client, and so that pre-populates the client in this situation. Really, really helpful. I'm going to show you another example. So I'm going to come out of here, and I'm going to go into the work sections. I've just chosen a uniclass pile carpet tiles clause to describe this, but obviously it would apply to anything you're doing. Now, let's say that it's quite early in the project and there's a lot of information that yet to be determined. In this situation, what I've done is I've added a variable, which, if I just check the clause out, is my phrase to be confirmed. And the value that would be published, if I published a specification, will be to be confirmed by client. So that'll just be presented in the PDF or the Word document as plain text, to be confirmed by client. Let me demonstrate what happens when you change your variables. So if I go back to my project, go back into edit the variables. Let's find that TBC. There it is there. So it currently says to be confirmed by client. You can see when I last edited it. Let's go and make a change. And I'm going to say that we've got the information now, no longer needs to be confirmed by the client. And instead, it's as detailed in the architect's schedule. Save the changes. So I've made a change once, and then that change will now apply wherever that variable exists in this project. So let's go back into that spec, back into the carpet tiles. And you can see now it says as detailed in the architect's schedule, and that's what would be published. And Chorus will identify that as a revision if I was comparing against an earlier version. Very, very powerful feature. We're thrilled about it. We're very excited to release it.
I think from my point of view, David, I think where this features really came on is it's being used by ANGA and requested by the NBS specification consultancy businesses. So SCL Schumann in Australia and NBS Schumann here in the UK. So like, we know it's a good feature because it's getting used in ANGA on like the largest of projects. So yeah, really nice to see. And yeah, if you could show us the third feature. I don't think it's quite as well developed, but it's getting there, isn't it?
That's right. So The third thing I want to show everybody is what we're calling searching all projects and masters. So what I'm showing you now, instead of it being Chorus, is a design mock-up. So it's a series of still images to represent how we're planning to implement this functionality. So we'll just close that a moment on the left-hand side so we can focus on this full screen. So the search in spec, that's going to go into the Chorus plan. It'll be available to everybody. This is an advanced feature. So searching across all the projects and masters that the organization holds will be available as part of the advanced specification writer bundle. So we're going to be introducing a global search bar at the top. And you can see here that I've already done a search for a query. I've queried for block. And just like you imagine from the other functionality, I can clear the search and so on. But because I've got a search running, I've got 64 results from my projects, 22 results from my masters, and then we present all of the results down here. So I currently have the projects tab selected. So these are results from all the projects that the organization holds. And if we sort of pinpoint in a little bit, we can see the keyword, and this will be a snippet of text. So the context in which the keyword exists in that clause within the projects, and the snippet of text, we're going to try and provide as much of it as possible to provide as much context. Then we also provide the content set, the project, the specifications title, and then the location and the specification. In this case, it's in F10. We also show the project work stage and when this was last edited. And we're trying to go with solving two key workflows. The first one being, I'm specifying something that perhaps I haven't specified before. Has anyone else specified it previously? Because maybe I can get in contact with them and speak to them about what their experience is, maybe reuse what they've specified if it's applicable to the project that I'm working on. But rather than me starting from scratch, where has our organization specified this before? And then the second workflow is, where have we specified something before? Because perhaps there's we want to check to see if there's any risks associated with it. You know, maybe a supplier's withdrawn a certificate. We want to know where that supplier's product has been specified. And then from here, it would feed into the normal results. So I can click on items and open them in the editor. And just like you'd expect, Chorus will take me directly to the part of the specification that this is in. I'll just show you that. Sorry, 1 second. It's another part of the design. Let me just go back a step. Yeah, so I click on the item and it'll take me directly to where it is. And I'll do that where I have a permission to the specification the result is in. And if you don't have permission, what Chorus will do is it'll show you the administrators who are managing the project. So in this situation, if I don't have any permission to the project or the spec that the result is in, I'll know who to speak to, and then I can get in contact with them. I can say, you know, I'd like to learn more about you specifying this in the context of that project. Can we have a chat? Could you invite me into the project? Could I reuse it? Is it something I should be reusing? And so on. So that's searching all projects and masters.
Nice. And as soon as this third part of the bundle's ready, that's when the bundles will be available for customers.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Well, thank you very much. David, that concludes today's webinar. If anybody on the call is interested in bundles, then just to reiterate, coming soon, hoping to release in the next sort of 2 or 3 months, the first bundle, which is the advanced spec writer bundle, detailed revisions, the variables that David demonstrated, and the cross-project master search. Just one final question, David, I think I know the answer, but worth reiterating. all of these features apply to all of the different Chorus territories around the world: Australia, Canada, Canadian French, etc.
That's correct. Yeah, they're compatible with all the different content sets in Chorus.
Yeah. So if you're wanting to search a small works project in the UK, that's Chorus. Or if you want to search NMS in Canada in French, the feature works. And you can put your name in on the online form. Just drop a message in the chat now, or get in touch with your account manager if you want to have a more detailed conversation or a detailed demonstration. And watch this space over the next few months to find out more about Advanced Masters Bundle. So the team will be starting to work on this very, very soon. So just to finish off, just like to thank David for his time today. Some fantastic demonstrations. David does that internally at MBS at every sprint review every 2 weeks. So he's very good at showing the software off. But yeah, please, if you'd like to know more about Chorus, if this is the first time you've heard about Chorus, visit the mbs.com. And as mentioned earlier, please get in touch using any channels if you're an existing MBS Chorus customer and want to know more about the upcoming bundles. So take care, everybody, and thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.